The grow results of my master blend versus general hydroponics are in. And although there might be a little bit of debate as to which one is the clear winner, I think once the cost is factored in, it's pretty easy to see which one I'm going to be using from now on. To begin this test, I began by taking reverse osmosis water and putting 3 gallons into each pail. Now I used reverse osmosis water over tap water just to eliminate one of the variables. I'm not sure how the two of them will handle it, or if there's going to be a difference if one will handle the reverse osmosis or tap water better than the other one. So I'm going to eliminate that step. The master blend comes in 3 different packages. You got the tomato formula, which is the core, then you have to add magnesium sulfate, and finally calcium nitrate. I'm going to be using a mix that is not quite for 12 liters of water. I'm going to use it for 10 liters of water, which is 6.4 of the part 1, 3.2 of the magnesium sulfate, and 6.4 of the calcium nitrate. Now, one thing I do like about the Master Blend series is that it's a dry compound. So these things take up way less room in my grow closet, and they're much cheaper to ship. I did buy the little scale as well when I did pick up the nutrients, and that's what I'm going to be using to measure the Master Blend nutrients. Once I have all the nutrients measured out, I'll begin by putting in the first part, and I'll stir them until everything is fully dissolved. This is recommended by the manufacturer, and the reason why you do this is you don't want any precipitates coming out of the solution, so make sure between every step, if you're using the Master Blend, totally dissolve that stuff before you go on to adding the next nutrient. I did find with the Master Blend this stuff dissolved extremely well. There was nothing left in the bottom of the pail. It dissolved completely. Awesome. After the part 1 is dissolved, I'm going to go ahead and measure the 3.2 grams of the magnesium sulfate and dissolve that as well. And here you can see there is nothing left over. Anything that is in the pail is just literally from my hands coming off working with the grow as well. I'll give that a thorough mix and I'll go on to the next one. Finally, the calcium nitrate, 6.4 grams of that, and we'll mix that in as well. Here you can see it at the bottom, but after a little bit of mixing, there is nothing left. It completely dissolves. Very pleased about that. General Hydroponics also makes a powdered series, and I've tried them as well, but I always seem to get a little bit of grit kind of left over. And the reason I hesitate to use that is I'm using a dripper irrigation type, and I don't want to plug any of my drippers. Now for the General Hydroponics series, I'm going to use the same tried and trusted mix that I'm using in my current Dutch bucket grow. Once I have that mixed up, I'll mix all the parts in the sequence recommended by the manufacturer. And in the case of this test, I'm actually using the 5-part nutrient series. So I'm adding the Cali Mag, and I'm also adding the Armor SI. And there's the recipe that I'm using. Now that the nutrients are all mixed up, I'm going to make sure that I pH them both to about 6. I've found 6 works really good as a starting point for pH. Then I'm going to do my typical setup with net cups, line them with cheesecloth, add the perlite to about a 1/4 inch from the top. Then I'll put the irrigation in and I'll start the seeds. I'm going to be using peas, clover, and daikon radishes for this test. I just have a bunch of these things kicking around. That's the only reason for choosing these various plants. As you can see, there's no shortage of seeds. I just dumped a bunch in to make sure that there's lots. After that, a little bit of perlite's gonna go on top to cover up the seeds, and my grow is ready to get started. After a few days, once the seeds pop, I'm gonna take my 1/8 teaspoon of Great White, mix that up into a 200 ml container, and I'll evenly distribute that on both sides. Now the only reason I use this stuff pretty religiously is I get just fantastic roots, and I get no problem with brown root or root rot or anything like that if I'm using this even once per grow like this. It just eliminates problems for me. Keeps the results consistent. All right, they're all set. Nothing left to do now but turn on the lights and watch this thing grow. Here's a quick 30-second-ish grow montage before we take a look at the results. As you can see, the side-by-side comparisons are pretty equal on both. One final thought before we take a look at the grow results, let's take a look at the cost breakdown. As you can see here, the General Hydroponic series costs about 9.7 cents per liter to mix, whereas the Master Blend series only costs about 2.9 cents per liter to mix. It's going to help you two ways. It's a lot easier to store because you can have way fewer bottles or jugs in your closet of pre-mixed nutrients. And the shipping is also much cheaper because you're shipping a granule versus shipping a pre-dissolved liquid. You're essentially paying to just ship water around. So I really like that. All right, first up, I'm gonna take out the Clover. Try not to wreck anything when I'm doing this. That is the Clover in the Master Blend. And we'll put that down. And let's take the one out of the General Hydroponics. That is General Hydroponics. And there are those two side by side. Straighten this root out. That is quite the root on the Master Blend for that one. All right, up next we'll take out the winter field peas. Looks like this is going to be a little interesting because they're wrapped all the way around this stuff. The little feelers are everywhere. Apparently everything is attached to everything. And the root. Well, this is not good. I don't know if you can see this. Try to get in there. Your root is attached to the other root from the Daikon radish. So I'll do my best to not completely murder this thing. Nice pearly white roots. So we'll put that one down. All right, let's see if this one is going to be just as tangled in the General Hydroponic solution. Let's try this out. It is tangled and it is stuck on. Let's see if I can get this thing out of here. Oh, same deal with the roots. Yeah, I must have torn the other roots off when I took it out. Again, a nice set of roots on here. Here's the two side by side. Much nicer roots on the ones on the right for this one. But as mentioned, I think I ripped some of the ones off on this one. But we'll find out here in a bit when we pull the radishes out. Alrighty, Daikon radishes, here we go. Pretty grown around the irrigation. Wow, what a set of roots. And greens. Wow, there is just roots for days here. And I am definitely ripping some of these off. They're around the cords, they're around everything inside the pail. So here's the root cluster. You can see I kind of ripped some. Oh, it even smells good. It smells like fresh radishes. All right, let's get this guy out of here. Same deal, roots are wrapped around everything. All right, here's the roots on this one. So here's a side-by-side comparison of both of them. And very equal. You can see some of the roots that I've torn.
on this one. And if we get a little closer, there is a nice radish out of the bottom of this one and also out of this one. The master blend, I think, is clearly a little bit bigger, and I gotta say, these air roots are looking pretty solid, better on the master blend. As far as color of plant goes, they're looking pretty similar. I would say on the bottom of the general hydroponics, there seems to be a little bit more orange leaves. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and yank them out of the cups so we can take a look at that. All right, let's take a look at the general hydroponics first. I'm gonna pull off all the roots and the greens and just kind of see what we have for actual growth. With the roots kind of stripped, this is what we're left with for the general hydroponics. We'll do the same for the master blend. Okay, so there is the master blend, and you can see I busted off one of them. And I'll put the two side by side so you can check that out. All right, so master blend again on the left and general hydroponics on the right. And to me right here, you can clearly see, I think one is a better product. Separate them out a little bit. But these are quite a bit thicker on the master blend than the general hydroponics. So here's the inside of the pails after we're all said and done. See the master blend? Still more roots down there. Nice clean solution. And the general hydroponics. Both of them smell good, nothing stank in either one of them. So I think they're both quite healthy. Alrighty, next I'm going to test the parts per million, or see how much is left over for nutrient. This one is showing 395, and we have 508 for the general hydroponics. Well, that one climbed up a bit. The pH looks to be between a 6 and a 6.5, so still within nutrient range, so that one's good. Next we'll check the pH in the general hydroponics. All right, so finishing pH on this one, I would say probably like a 5.8, so a little bit lower than the master blend, but both are within nutrient range, so that's good. Keeping in mind as well that both started at exactly the same pH, although the ppm was favoring the general hydroponics by a little bit. So I'm going to take now and clean up this whole mess, and the boss is going to give me a hand, but she does not want to be in the video, so we're going to keep her out of there. We're going to start up the next experiment, which is going to be a reverse osmosis versus regular tap water. So if you want to see that one when it comes out, it'll be up on the side.